What's up everybody, Slash here. Today we're going to be taking a look at a very fun deck, something that kind of replaces Gogeta now that it's banned. So, without further ado, let's jump into it. So, here we are. Pan. Now, this deck is very strong, especially now that Gogeta and Sin are gone. What is something that can stay very aggressive and just be able to flood out beat sticks for 1 energy and just do good damage? Well, I think Pan is the answer, along with, of course, like U7, Gohan, and things like that. But this is a very good choice for right now. If I could go back on my red tier list and maybe put Pan a little higher, I probably would have. But we all make mistakes, right? So, we have plenty of counters here. I think this is more than enough because we're trying to stay aggressive. You want still some free play defense where you can just take your own lives for defense. But in general, what the leader is doing is when you play a battle card, choose it, it gets plus 5k for the turn, and if its power became 20k or more, then you get to draw 1. So if it was a 15k card and you plus 5, then you get to draw 1. Or a 20k and you get plus 5, so it's 25k. It's good. So, and then on top of that, to awaken, now we finally got an awakening for this card, which is awesome. So it is if you have 3 or more Z energy, and you may draw 1, switch 1, go to 6, and then flip it over. So the best part is, if you're unawakened, and let's say you decide not to play your Unison here for like a turn 3 move, what you can do then is like turn 2, you can play one of your 15ks, so let's say like Broly Surge, and then you give it plus 5k, so now you've got a 20k crit, and then when it attacks, it's going to get Servant, which is going to be a 30k crit to your opponent, which is very good. And then of course you do the whole Overlord thing, bottom deck it, draw 1, easy to do. And then you can awaken, and then don't forget, because it's a new card, you can do the ability again. So you get to do it twice in 1 turn, which is fantastic. And the awaken side here is roughly the same thing. You draw 1 as well if you hit a card that's 15k or more and it becomes 20k. And then when it attacks now naturally, you get to draw 1. So the unawakened side is kind of tough to draw. I highly advise you, and I will say it multiple times, I'm sure, it's very important that you charge your Z energy early, because there are games where like I may have 2 of these in hand and 1 of these and 1 of these, and I'm thinking in my head, I don't want to charge any of them, like, because they're all the big powerhouse cards to attack with. But trust me, do it. Just charge something because you're going to get crushed if you don't charge something early. Because at one point it was like the end of turn 3 for me, where I kind of tapped myself out already, is when I was finally able to awaken, and I never did that since. So, moving on. You also have this cool ability here where it's choose one of your Z battle cards with an energy cost of 2 or more, it gets plus 5k for the turn. So, it's nice it's activate main. It would have been cool if they made it activate main / battle. It would have been a lot handier. And let's jump into the list now. So, we have 3 testings and 4 after image. I think it's just a good match in general. You can take your lives, you can minus cards, which allows you to be able to play your one-hit wonder. So that's a nice little card to be able to play during your opponent's turn. So it means you're also drawing during your turn and your opponent's turn. We have King Vegeta's Imposing Presence, just the 1. I don't think you need much more than that. We don't really have barrier removal, but you're not really going for barrier removal because you're trying to just flood your field and swing for game. If you want barrier removal, I think a better choice is run your list down to 50 and then add the ultimate, of course, for Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta Unbridled Power. And if you can't afford something like that, then an easy choice is you can take out one of these and, of course, one of the one-hit wonders, and then add one of those 3-cost Gokus where you pay 2 and you get rid of a card ignoring barrier that's minus 25k. So that's also a good choice. And then we have the 4 Great Apes. This is just a fantastic card. When you combo with it, if your leader's a Pan, you get to play it for free. So you'll do this during your opponent's turn, and then you'll get to draw a card. So always during your turn and your opponent's turn, you're drawing. Then we have this Pan, where if you combo with a card in your combo area, you get to activate battle, pay 1, play this card, and you get to draw 1 initially from it. And then, of course, if this card was the only one played, then you're going to get the plus 5k from your leader, and you draw in another card. And then you get to minus 10 opponent's card, which is, it's handy, but minus 10 doesn't really do that much, sadly. And then we have the Pan here. This one is a really nice card too. So if you're not able to charge a multicolor energy on like turn 1, this is a great play to do. If your turn 1 as in the turn 2, so you can attack. So if you do that, then this is a really handy card to have, because when it's 20k or more, you look at the top 5, you add a Unison or a Sane, and gratefully the Unison can be a 3-cost Unison, which helps us get our Baby. Now, the reason why I chose to run Baby in this deck is because having been able to just pick off any card that they have, put it under this, give your leader that plus 1k when you're tapped out, because you're using your lives as your defense. It's so handy, and that extra draw per turn, it's super clutch. It's been working so damn well when I have been playing this. I wouldn't take it out. This is way too good. And then we have our little one of for a little tech. You can just grab one of your Saiyans, place it under this card, and then you play this, and you can minus 30k one of your opponent's cards, so it can just get rid of a boss monster. And then, of course, because it's a Goku card, and this is a Goku card, then if it's in the drop, including one of these, don't forget, you can play this. And then when this is played, this will be a 30k double strike on play, because your leader's going to give it that plus 5k. And when this card is played, choose one of your leaders. It gets 5k power until the end of your opponent's next turn. And if you have 4 or more red energy, play this card. Place up to 1 Goku or Piccolo from your drop under this card. You can make this card a dual attack double strike. All you have to do is place a card from under it into your drop, and then you get to restand it. So that is so good. So I would say this is a very good choice for a very aggro deck, because it's low on energy cost, and you're swinging for 30k double strike dual attack. It's a really good card. I don't know why some people don't think it's that great. I think it's incredibly good. And then, of course, further on, we have 4 of these Beerus with Offering and 4 of these for Super Combo. Best part about this card is that you are showing your opponent the card you draw. That doesn't matter. I mean, everything you play is red. So no matter what, when you use this as a combo, turn 1 you can already combo with this. And you just reveal the card. You get plus 10k in total. Plus, if you have a multicolor energy, that's minus 5 to one of your opponent's cards. So that is very handy. And the card itself is a really, really fantastic card. You can play it during your opponent's turn, of course, because it's a rival. And when you play it, you're going to activate Offering. And now they have to choose. Do they take a life, or are they going to let you draw 2 cards? That is pretty brutal to do, because you're going to notice very quickly when you're swinging constantly at them with these 15/20k cards that are either critical or double strike, they're going to get screwed very quick. So they don't initially want you to crit one of their lives. So of course, if you do Offering, they're more than likely going to let you draw 2. So you're going to have a hand of like 14-15 cards by turn 3, turn 4. And on top of that, when this card attacks, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 4 or less in rest mode, and it can't be switched to active mode. So pretty much you're just stalling one of their cards for a turn, so it's just less damage and board presence to deal with. And then for counterplays, we are running 2 Vidals. It was 3 originally, but I just noticed it was just too many, because if you go 2 Vidals and at least the 1 Yamcha, that's more than enough, because we also have Defeating the Demon. Only 2 copies though. It's dropped a lot in price these days, so don't be too worried when you're looking at this list like, oh my god, this is going to cost a lot of money. No, it doesn't. It's not too bad now, really. This is a €10 card now each. To some, that may be expensive. To me, it is expensive, but if you're only going to run 2 copies, I think €20 investment is a good investment. This card is fantastic. For each Z energy in the cost of Z cards in your leader area, battle area, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1. So I don't typically get this, because I'm not playing my Z battle card until around turn 4 or turn 5. But for each card in your Z energy, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1. And that we're going to have by turn 2 or possibly turn 3. So you'll be able to play this always, at least by turn 3, on average. And when this card is played, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, and it gets minus 20k for the turn. This is an amazing card. So of course, if this is the first card you're being played on your opponent's turn, Don't forget, you can also play it on your turn, because it's not saying during your opponent's turn for this ability, which means even during your turn, you can just pay 1 and play this, and it's going to be a 25k double strike. So, it is an amazing card for this deck, just like the Broly that we mentioned before. And of course, some Hyper Speed Rush. It's a fantastic card. I think we all know it. You draw 1 on play, and it's going to be a 20k double strike practically. Then we also have 2 Toppos, because there are times where if you're just in a situation where someone is just very aggressive to you, and you just don't have that open defense to be able to take your lives down, then you can afford to just keep 2 energies active at the end of your turn after, like, let's say you awaken or something for a turn 3, or a turn 4 possibly. Then you play a Toppo, and you just try to defend that way. Just that extra pressure for defense. Then we're running Radiant Saiyans for this list. You don't have to, of course. Any ultimate for this deck is okay, but I would say this is probably one of the better choices, because you're able to combo with it for free for 10k. So it's just more board presence and pressure against your opponent. And then, of course, I would also include the Super Saiyan Force on Goku. This is an amazing card. When you play it, you can use a card from your drop in a combo, so it's just going to help you charge that Z energy a lot quicker. And the rest of the abilities is great too. If this card is in battle, you can pay 1, draw 1, switch this card to active mode, it gets 5k, so it becomes a dual attack card, which is awesome. And then, of course, if it's the initial card on play, it's now going to be a 25k dual attack, which is awesome. And then it's got the other ability here where you can pay 1 to play it, which is the whole, if you have 2 or more energy, play this card from your hand, and then you burst 2. Don't forget to burst 2, it's easy forgotten. And then we've also got our Z deck here. So we're running 3 copies of the Defender of Life. This is a really handy card to play around, like turn 2, turn 3, but I personally do it for more of a finisher, if you don't see your Goku Piccolo card. So this is a double strike. It will be a 25k, if not maybe 30 from your leader, 30k double strike, and the abilities here is just when this card is played, place 1 Saiyan card from your drop under this card, and if your opponent has 4 or more life, deal 1 damage to them. So of course, if they're at 4 life, now they're at 3, which is amazing to do. This card's going to have barrier. It's going to be putting this card in particular underneath it. Reason being is this ability will now pop off. If your leader is a Pan, when this card is placed under one of your Z battle cards, the Z battle card gets 5k power and this following skill for the turn. When this card attacks, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and it gets minus 25k for the turn. That is a very good combination to put together. And this card itself, it is deflect, so it's going to be less of a threat of someone countering play. And then of course, we also run 2 Rush Attack Super Saiyan Blue Vegetas. This is just a really, really good Z battle card. It's going to be a 20k, and then you can, if you have 4 or more Z energy, you can switch it to active mode. It gets 10k and double strike and barrier. So we also run 1 Videl. Reason being is I found that we didn't need 2 Vegetas, and I found that this stack of Goku's and Vegeta's hair were enough. So I thought, what is something where if you're in a pinch and you need to get rid of something that's 15k or less, this is an easy play to do, because when you're going to play, it's going to be 10k, so now it's going to be a 20k card because of the effect here, and then you choose one of the cards that's 15k power or less, and you KO it. Then we have the Vegeta, just so that if you're in a situation where you need to self-awaken, well, you can do that now, just in case. And then we have extra choices here. So I also made another list, which I'll briefly show you, and it is more of an evolved version. Not too much different to what we're running now. They're all quite similar, but we try to focus more on the Pans and the whole GT chain, so we can evolve. I would say that this is a lot more aggressive, this is more mid-range, but it still works very well, and this is just some side deck options you could use. But here is the other side of it. So if we flip the coin, now we have 4 Goku GTs, the GT crew card. We run 1 of these for our ultimate, because we can just restand it, since we draw quite a lot of cards with this deck. And another thing you can do is, when you've played this from under your Unison, you can attack twice with it using its Spirit Boost 3. And then, of course, you can evolve on top, and then you get to attack with this card. So now you get the plus 5k additionally on this card, so it's going to be 35k. And here are the following effects. Permanent. If this card's power is 40k or more, and your leader card is a red Saiyan, your opponent may not activate counters during the battles where this card is attacking. When you play this card, draw 2 cards, and you may not activate EX Evolve for the duration of the turn. That's not a problem because you wouldn't do it again, really. Unless you go for, on top of this, you go with your ultimate, but you wouldn't do that. Then we have the effect to be able to play it, which is a red Son Goku GT with an energy cost of 5 or more. And this card is Deflect itself and a triple strike. So it's a very, very handy card. And the ultimate for what it does, you can place 2 cards from your hand. In the drop, switches to active mode. So you can just keep swinging with this card. And when this card attacks, it gains 5k power for the duration of the turn. Then, if this card's power is 60k or more, it deals 1 damage to your opponent's life. So you can finish a game that way. So this is a more cheaper version in a way. And if you can't afford to do Hyperspeed Rush or whichever one of these are the most expensive, there are plenty of cards out there that are 15k beat sticks that you can replace it with. But I would recommend at least try and get 2 of these and 2 of these at minimal. And yeah, this is the list. So for turns 1, 2, and 3, and a little bit of 4, I would say try to get a Great Ape Son Goku in your hand, charge a multicolor energy, and for turns 2, play your Super Saiyan 4 Goku, the one where you get to boost with cards from your drop, charge your Z energy, awaken if you're not going for your unison, and just continue to flood your field. For turns 3, if you're going for a slower pace, play your unison, then awaken, and then just do heavy defense for that turn. So that's including your counterplays, being able to pay in energy for your defense as well. And for turns 4, just flood your field, play your Barris, try to activate your offering on it. It's just going to put more pressure on them. And for a little bit of tips, I would say keep the Goku apes in your hand during your opponent's turn, so you can use that for extra draw when you play it. And of course, when you play it, you can always just charge it in your Z energy. Don't be afraid to be aggressive. Just keep that pressure going as hard as you can to your opponent. And it's very important that you try to charge your Z energy as early as possible. And that's about it. I hope you liked the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know in the comments down below which version do you like and which version do you play. I love to hear it. I read all the comments. And thanks for watching. Peace. Links to the deck will be in the video description.